I actually recorded this video, and because of a glitch, I had to re-record this video again. That was bad. Anyway, today we are doing on the militant arms of the Mechanicum, so that means I should switch over to my Skitaria's avatar. So I know I'm an Imperial Knight Scion, but it's really fitting because if you think about it, House Tyrannus. I think I should give you guys a little trivia about House Tyrannus. Well, do you remember in my retrospective Imperial Knight video when I was talking about the ritual becoming? Well, if you remember correctly, if I remember correctly, sorry, not you, um, 1 out of 10 noble scions feel the ritual becoming. So they either die or they get their brains burned out, or so their neural sockets get burned out or something like that. Basically they become either dead or vegetables. So what happens is that these sons of House Tyrannus, they are not seen as failures. So even though they kind of fail the ritual of becoming, they end up being taken by the Adeptus Mechanicus because the Adeptus Mechanicus kind of treasure these. I'm not very sure whether it's a genetic thing or biological constitution or the bloodline or something like that. But basically, those of House Tyrannus bloodlines, they make very good Skitarii commanders. So they take all these failed ritual of becoming sons and then they turn them into Skitarii alphas or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of fitting that I can transform from a Night Scion to a Skitarius. So yeah, I don't think I'm a Skitarii Alpha though. I'm not good enough for that. But anyway, as usual, since today we are doing on the militant arms of the Mechanicum, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about all the various military organizations of the Mechanicum slash Adeptus Mechanicus, because I'm going to also talk about the Adeptus Mechanicus in modern 41st millennium and how they kind of relate to each other. So yeah, as usual, I'm primarily a blogger. I'm not that much of a PNG tuber. You can see why I suck at this. Anyway, this is the link to my blog. So if you prefer to read, you can read it on my blog over there. The link is up there, as you can see. Because I know my voice is horrible, and you guys probably don't want to listen to me ramble on. But yeah, but if you want to listen to me ramble on, so let me apologize for destroying your ears, and let's move on to the militant arms of the Mechanicum. So yeah, during the Great Crusade and the subsequent catastrophic civil war that followed in its wake, the Mechanicum's military strength composed of three principal components: the elite macroclads of the Legiones Skitarii, the Titan legions of the Collegia Titanica, and the Taghmata Omnissiah. Known as the Triad Magna, these three organizations formed the great trinity of the Mechanicum's power during the Great Crusade, along with smaller independent and allied divisions, including the Knight Houses, that's me, the Ordo Reductor, the Explorators, and the Legio Cybernetica. Of these, the Taghmata Omnissiah was the most numerous and diverse, while the Legiones Skitarii owe their allegiance and command ultimately to Mars, and the Collegia Titanica wielded power enough to shatter whole planets. All these Mechanicum organizations operated separate military traditions of their own. So as you can see here, we have what we call the Bellicosa Potentis Omnissiah. It kind of displays an example of a military feudal organizational structure of a forge world. At the top, you have the Archmagos Indenton, who is basically the planetary governor or fabricator general of a forge world, whose fealty is ultimately to Mars, in theory anyway, because most of them have their own agendas, have their own secret loyalties or whatever. So under him is the Holy Synod, the ruling feudal clerical oligarchy of the Forge World, which includes the Archmandriture. I don't know if that's how I'm supposed to pronounce the word. The Archmagos, the Magos Majoris, and the other Magos, or Magi if you want to use the plural form. Under the various Magi would be the Taghmata Omnissiah. And separate from the Holy Synod would be the Ordo Reductor, the Legio Cyberneticus, the Prefecture Magisterium, which is basically the Mechanicum counterpart of the Ordo Prefectus, or the Commissars basically. Mechanicum, Commissars, and I guess assassins that hunt down heretics. Then you have the Skitarias and the Basilicon Astra. The Prefecture Magisterium is headed by the Malagra, Magos warlords charged with enforcing the doctrine of the Omnissiah and the execution of the heretic. Like I said, cyber assassins. Then you have the Knight Houses of the Questorius Familia, who are often seconded as vassals or allied warriors to both the Titan legions and Taghmata, depending on the ancient pacts of mutual support that bind them to whichever entities they fight alongside. So yep, that's me, the Knight House. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna return to Skitarius for now. First, we're gonna talk about the Taghmata Omnissiah. The Taghmata Omnissiah is not really it's more of a military protocol actually that is enacted to create detached military formations constructed by predetermined configurations of retainer troops, tech priests, war engines, and support systems, placed under the command of a Magos of the Synod. Often the answer to a Magos or Archmagos Prime who possess overall authority over the diverse battle groups. Composed of a bewildering tapestry of Magos, machine works, and indentured manpower bound under a rigid and labyrinthine hierarchical structure, the Taghmata Omnissiah is translated roughly as that which is divinely ordered for war. I guess you guys are already familiar with this if you watch all the Oculus Imperial or Lutin09 or one of the many lore videos out there on the Taghmata Omnissiah. I think even the Grimdark narrator has one of it, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, each forge world is an independent power, a kingdom in its own right that form a feudal order under Mars. And even then, within each forge world lay a complex web of loyalties, fealties, doctrines, and cultures, a myriad of factions as numerous as the forged cities, forged shrines, forged fanes, and manufactorum citadels that populate the forge world's landscape, or even below it. In cases of subterranean, sorry, that's a tough word. Subterranean forge complexes. If you are talking about the kind of manufactural citadels and forge shrines that populate below the fortress landscape. So anyway, under this complex feudal structure, both on the macro scale which encompassed whole forge worlds and alliances of forge worlds, and on the local scale of orders, colleges, fanes, and forge cities, the loyalties of Taghmata were split between those who remained steadfast to the emperor, those who swore fealty to the war master, and even those who declared their own independence and sought to carve out their own techno empires. Each forge world was a patchwork web of complex loyalties composed of independent and semi-independent domains in terms of physical infrastructure, territory, knowledge, craft, and secret right. Thus, each Taghmata was a reflection of their masters, the Magos or Archmagos, their learned ones who specialize in particular facets of the machine cult lore or, commanded a sizable portion of their forge world's infrastructure. Each Magos commanded their own resources and military might, armies of retainers, and cohorts of war machines, often informed by their master's will, and in accordance with their master's specialization and proclivity. These were the Taghma, the building blocks of the Taghmata. So in concrete terms, what that means is that if you're, say, your Magos Prime or Archmagos Prime is more of a Cybernetica fella, his army is gonna like constitute primarily of battle robots, like the guy we are talking about in Mechanicum, where he's known for his robots. So his army is composed mostly of a lot of robots, along with, I guess, cybernetic warriors and stuff like that. And then if you have a guy who's more of an Ordo Reductor leaning, he'll go more heavy on siege engines, maybe Ordinatus engines that have sworn loyalty to him. So yeah, so that's basically about it. When a fabricator, Archmagos Indenton or Archmagos Archimandrite, I hate that word, activates a Taghmata, the Magos under their command will provide troops and assets, including lesser tech priests and adepts, subcults, and esoteric orders who owe fealty and vassalage to the high Magos called upon. They also call out distant outposts, expeditionary fleets, and client boats tied together by patronage or ancient treaties or pacts of alliance. Of allegiance. I mean, same word, right? I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, before the Horus Heresy, the Taghmata was usually a defensive matter, mustered when a forge world came under under direct attack. Smaller Taghmata elements were formed during the Great Crusade to arm and equip explorator expeditions, garrison outposts in hostile or hazardous regions of the void, and provide armed diplomatic escorts or deputations to the expeditionary fleets and rogue trader militant fleets. More frequently, though, the expeditionary fleets and rogue trader militant fleets would be accompanied by specialist military commands of the Mechanicum, not loyal to any single forge world. The Titan Legions, the Ordo Reductor, the Legio Cybernetica, and the Legiones Skitarii. The Legio Cybernetica and the Magos Militant/Sagittarius compose of the biggest orders that serve as allies to Taghmata Omnissiah, wielding considerable power as partners or even as vassals. Underneath them are the principal tactical divisions of the Taghmata, including the Autocrator, Bonded Cybernetica, Macrotechnia, Monitorial Lodges, Lycramara, and associated orders and subcults militants such as the Myrmidon cult, the Corpuscari cult, which is the Electropriests, the Explorator forces, and more. They can also call upon the knight houses of the Quaestorius Familia for assistance. And I already wrote, I did a whole video on that actually, Mechanicum of Vessel Knight Houses. So that's where I talk about the Sidon protocols. So if you would like to check that out, you can check that out. But for now, we're going to do Legiones Skitarii. So yep, the Legiones Skitarii. That's why I'm a Skitarius now. The Skitarii legions, also known as the Mechanicum Protectors or Tech Guard, are a subcult of the Omnissiah and follow their own unique martial traditions. They are ancient standing armies of elite cybernetically and genetically engineered troops, originating from Mars and loyal to the office of the Fabricator General. Thus, when Zagreus Kane became Fabricator General when the arch-traitor Kelborhal turned his back on Holy Terra, the majority of the Skitarii cohorts pledged their fealty to the new Fabricator General instead. That's my headcanon, anyway. Skitarii regiments are deployed separate from the Taghmata, maintaining their own structures of organization. They are bionic heart of the Mechanicums and later Adeptus Mechanicus legions, defending the forge worlds of the Imperium. Cybernetic but still technically human warriors, the Skitarii have been extensively rebuilt with augmetic battleware and neurosync implants that permanently link them to their tech priest masters via the noosphere. Adepts can transmit battlefield commands through data tethers or inload combat programs in the Skitarii in this manner, often using them as remote eyepieces. The Skitarii legions often escort the vast Goliaths of the Centurio Ordinatus, march at the feet of god engines of the Titan legions, and reinforce the battle automata of the Legio Cybernetica, and serve as bodyguards for tech priests in the battlefield. They are the standard infantry for Forge World's military, equipped with esoteric and sophisticated weapons beyond those of even the wanted Legiones Skitarii during the Great Crusade or modern Space Marine chapters. Now, from this, because we don't really have much background information of the Legiones Skitarii in the Horus Heresy Black Books, a lot of fluff is more concentrated on, say, the Legio Cybernetica, the Taghmata Omnissiah. But there's not a lot of information written about the Legiones Skitarii. They do actually appear quite frequently in the lore. So for example, Aaron Dembski Bowden's Master of Mankind, which is a great book by the way. You have the kind of the loyalist Skitarii legions under Zagreus Kane, which is why I made that joking comment about them, the majority of them being under swearing fealty to him instead of Kelborhal. But you also have like mentions of Dark Mechanicum Skitarii fighting against say loyalist Space Marines like in Rob Sanders' Cybernetica, for example. I think Skitarii also show up quite a lot, not just in Graham McNeil's Mechanicum, but also in what was it? Yes, that's right. Aaron Dembski Bowden's No Fear by Dan Abnett. No Fear by Dan Abnett, where you have the Master of Skitarii and you have a bunch of Skitarii fighting alongside both the Kelf regulars or Kelf Ultramar Auxiliary as well as the Ultramarines Legion when they got backstabbed by the Boat Bearers during the betrayal at Calf. So yeah, the Skitarii appear quite a lot. They also appear quite a bit during the Siege of Terror. And I think again, there's this awesome Skitarius who shows up in Echoes of Eternity and also befriended Arkanland. So yeah, unfortunately, aside from these awesome characters who show up to fight and either die to Legiones Astartes because the Astartes are the main characters of the heresy, the Skitarii actually they as an organization they don't really have much background information regarding their kind of hierarchical structure and how they operate within the Mechanicum itself during the Horus Heresy. Instead, most of the background information that I just blurted out was actually from the 7th edition Skitarii Codex actually, and a lot of the Adeptus Mechanicus Codex. So those are like the kind of the modern stuff. So, but what does this mean? I guess we have to speculate on what happened, in between the Horus Heresy and the 41st millennium. I think what happened was that you had this transformation of the Legiones Skitarii from the Great Crusade to the 41st millennium in terms of organization principles. Once, the Skitarii were the purview of Mars and loyal only to the office of the Fabricator General. But the Horus Heresy showed that such military power should never be concentrated in the hands of any individual, even a Primarch. After all, if one such as the brightest and most favored Horus Lupercal could fall, then who among the Adeptus Mechanicus could be trusted? Because by then the binary succession has already taken place, so they are known as the Adeptus Mechanicus. Thus, following the example of Rubute Guliman, who divided the legions into chapters, as well as the Departo Moritorum, who saw the split of the Imperial Army into the Imperial Guard and Imperial Navy, The Adeptus Mechanicus too broke up the Skitarii legions into macroclades under the command of their respective forge rules. So instead of consolidating all power into a single command such as mass, so for if the Fabricator General would once again turn from the light of the Emperor, the damage by such a betrayal as well as the number of Skitarii legions sworn to his command would be minimized. By the way, the current Fabricator General is Raskian. He's a High Lord of Terror, so yeah. So here we are going to talk about the kind of strategic disposition of a forge rule. So each forge rule will possess a huge number of macroclades as their standing military, and each macroclade is comprised of 4 cohorts, each composed of 3 maniples for a total of 12 maniples per macroclade. So yeah, within each maniple is a varying number of units, including Skitarii maniples, Cataphron squadrons, and even battle automata cohorts, along with accompanying cohort assets under cohort command. Often forge rules will activate specialized Skitarii cohorts such as the Hunter cohort or Zicarian Killclads for either acquisition, elimination, protection, or repulsion. So I think we're gonna do a pause here and talk about how this is different from the potent Bellicosa potens Omnissiah that we saw earlier, right? You will notice that the structure of this forge rule strategic disposition is very different from the Taghmata Omnissiah or slash, basically the forge rule, the Bellicosa potens Omnissiah that we saw much earlier. I can return to that slide if you want to, but I probably wouldn't. So how do I explain this? As you can tell, the kind of organization structure of a forge rule is very different from the Horus Heresy. I mean the 41st Millennium. This is actually also confirmed by I think the forge rule itself. Forge rule as in Games Workshop itself, because they used to have the Horus Heresy rules and books published under the forge rule the division under Games Workshop, which is affiliated with Games Workshop, but basically their own department. In the past, we had some guy, I think quite a few fans sending emails or FAQs and asking if we could use the 7th edition codex for Skitarii in Horus Heresy. And the answer was that, yeah, we could technically do it in terms of narrative games if we want to, homebrew our own events. But the organization structure of the Adeptus Mechanicus, of the modern Adeptus Mechanicus in the 41st Millennium, differed vastly from the Mechanicum in the 31st Millennium during the Horus Heresy. So that was the answer we received from Forge World / Games Workshop back then. They're telling us that there are two very different entities, there are very different military compositions and hierarchy and structures. The organizations are completely different. So it's better not to use the Skitarii Codex as to port over the rules one-on-one basically. So yeah, and you can see actually there's quite a few I guess differences between the kind of the macroclades. You can see that the Skitarii have really been incorporated into the military structure of a forge rule here. And you can notice that if you notice that the macroclades, they're all under the forge rule commands instead of being broken down into the various Taghmata Omnissiah. So back then, during the Horus Heresy, what happened was that the tech priests themselves, they are basically like warlords. They are these feudal warlords, each with their own territory, provinces, forged cities, whatever. And within their own territories, they govern themselves. They have their own armies, retainers. I want to say servants, but that might not sound right. But yeah, each tech priest will have their own standing army. It's kind of like this. I'm not very familiar with European medieval history. I'm a Japanese historian, so I'm going to use a Japanese example as an analogy. So during the Sengoku Jidai, the Warring period and the Tokugawa period, the Edo period that followed after that, basically you have something called daimyo, who are like Japanese warlords. Each of them have governed over their own provinces / territory, where they have their own farms, their own subjects, and their own standing armies of samurai, or samurai / ashigaru / riflemen, because they were using muskets back then as well, and cavalry as well. And so if, for example, the Tokugawa shogun or one of the, I guess, greater daimyos, they need to go to war against another, say, daimyo, they will call upon vassal daimyos, daimyos who are allied to them in terms of, I guess, either as subordinates / vassals, or as retainers. Well, I mean, their retainers are vassals. What am I saying? Or allies, basically those who have pledged their allegiance to a certain daimyo. Like for example, what was his name? The Takeda clan, Takeda Kai, for example, and Oda Nobunaga, who's basically I guess the Oda clan, but he has basically a lot of vassal clans under him, and each of these vassal clans will have their own standing army. So it's something like that in the Mechanicum during the Horus Heresy. Each of these, I guess, tech priests, each of these Magos, they have their own territories and their own standing armies. And then when one Archmagos Prime or something needs to go to war against, say, another tech priest who swore his allegiance to Horus Lupercal. So he will call upon all these favors, all these retainer tech priests, who individually have their own armies, and then they will all unite under this tech priest banner, so kind of similar to how the daimyos would unite under a single banner. You had the East and West army, I guess, the East army being under the Tokugawa clan, for example, and I think the West army under the Toyotomi clan, I guess, sort of. During the, I guess, this was right before the Edo period started, when the Tokugawa won and became the shogun. So yeah, but yeah, it's something similar here. So this is basically the kind of different armies that make up the different Tagma elements of the Mechanicum's military, with all their own different loyalties and individual armies and stuff. What happened in the 41st millennium, though, is that all this power becomes concentrated in individual forge roles. So instead of warlord tech priests having their own domains and armies, their military powers are kind of under the kind of forge role government, forge role command, which is the fabricator general, fabricator locum, and their basically council, forge role council, forge role government basically. So these are the ones who have overall authority over the entire forge role's military, sort of. I mean, of course, I'm assuming each Magos or tech priest will probably have their own, I guess, minor army, but it's probably not to the same extent as the Taghmata Omnissiah. Basically, they have like a bunch of, I guess, servitors or whatever, and then their own bodyguards, Skitarii. But they will nowhere as much military power and political power as, say, those warlord tech priests who commanded entire Taghmata elements during the Horus Heresy. So this is like the kind of the difference, the evolution of how the Mechanicum turned into the Adeptus Mechanicus, and their organizational military structure during the past 10,000 years. So yeah, nice history lesson there, right? So the next one we were talking about is the Legio Cybernetica. So the Legio Cybernetica, I've already done a retrospective video on that, so you can refer to it. So I'm just going to sum it up as quickly as possible. The Legio Cybernetica is one of the most feared and powerful the Legiones Militant of the Mechanicum. A sacred order divided into cohorts, they are charged with the construction and the use of battle automata in warfare, existing as fully independent structures and subfactions owing either pacts of mutual support or alliance with the synods of forge roles. Under the Chrism Accords of Mars, they not only deploy battle automata in war, but are also responsible for the development, propagation, and maintenance of these terrifying machines. While the Chrism Accords forbid the creation of artificial intelligence or silica animus, they allow the survival and creation of lesser and righteous works or synthetic life such as the battle automata. To restrain the immense power which was sufficient to overthrow empires during the Age of Strife, the Legio Cybernetica is broken down into cohorts to limit the power any single Archmagos of the Legio could wield. Each cohort ranges from having between 30 to 100 battle automata maniples, which in turn comprises between 1 to 5 of the war engines. Each cohort is commanded by a senior tech priest of the machine cult, and below them is a covenant of Magos Dominus who will control the war machines in battle. Myrmidons, engineers, servitors, and trolls who will tend to the cohort's needs. The cohorts also maintain their own support networks, mobile workshops, transports, battlefield vehicles, orbital landers, and even star vessels, but are forbidden to found their own forges or trenches. Thus, they are dependent on the other lords of the Mechanicum and their forge worlds for their long-term survival and prosperity. If that sounds familiar, that's because I said all that the same damn thing in the Legio Cybernetica video I did a few weeks ago. So, yep. Anyway, but I'm just going to go through it quickly. The Legio Cybernetica cohorts not only serve as defenders of forge worlds and retainers of the Mechanicum factions, but also participate in expeditionary fleets during the Great Crusade. They're greatly valued by the diverse forces of the Great Crusade, including the Legiones Skitarii, Rogue Traders Militant, Knight Houses, and Imperial Army hosts. After the Horus Heresy, the Legio Cybernetica's robots have been controlled completely by their masters using sanctified doctrina wafers instead of the bioplastic cerebra and nerve-like tendril webs of Mechanicum constructs. Thus, the Castilian robots differ from the Castellax battle automata pattern as well as other automata patterns. Again, if you want more information, just go watch my retrospective Legio Cybernetica video instead. The next one is new though, so what we have here is, say, the Ordo Reductor, which is cool. And yeah, the Ordo Reductor is a Medican order of tech priests devoted to the arts of siegecraft, demolition, and mass destruction. If you're wondering what the word Medican means, it just means nomadic. That means they move from place to place without a permanent home or permanent base. They essentially nomadic, as I said, gravitating to areas of intense warfare, but maintain links to forge worlds for resupply and support. Known as the bringers of blessed ruin, the Ordo Reductor is a highly specialized military division of the Mechanicum that embodies the animus of the Omnissiah as the destroyer and bringer of oblivion. The origins date back to the Age of Strife on Mars, and when Holy Terror and Mars signed a Treaty of Alliance, the Ordo Reductor was created to sunder and destroy the enemies encountered during the Great Crusade. The responsibilities of the Ordo Reductor range from relying on their biologies to devise methods of killing tenacious and terrible alien life forms. They are preceptors who analyze enemy human techno-empires, weapons, and defenses for any vulnerabilities, and most importantly, demolishing seemingly impregnable fortresses. So I guess you could say they're basically the Iron Warriors counterpart for the Mechanicum. Rather than pledging their loyalty to feudal masters of the Mechanicum, the Ordo Reductor, having split from their forge worlds and domains, is loyal to the Great Crusade first. They usually composed of outcasts, either dangerously heretical in their leanings or overly independent. Fortunately, their detachment from feudal politics of forge worlds means that they are not considered with the same levels of suspicion and distrust as throughout other Mechanicum factions, such as the Legio Cybernetica. So if you like your big robots and giant robots, I guess there's a price to pay. The individual commands of Ordo Reductor Magos and their attendants, servants, and war machines are known as Covenants, which are based almost entirely on purpose-configured warships, long-range, self-sustaining Gallius-class vessels instead of the more common Arx Mechanicum. These ships serve as transport, main, and permanent base for the Ordo Reductor during the Great Crusade, and are their own sovereign domains. Although Reductor Covenants serve the various expeditionary fleets, flocking from warzone to warzone, and function in the roles of battlefield intelligence gatherers, warrior seers, and servants of Carnage. Carnage being the guy from Vietnam. Anyway, they seldom act directly in battle, instead conducting targeted raids and probing strikes ahead of a main advance, or stalk burning battlefields to study the dead and the destroyed. The one exception is Sagecraft, the sole aspect of warfare that the Magos of the Ordo Reductor take pride in, sundering unconquerable defenses and surviving Zone Mortalis battles. So yeah, please use your Ordo Reductor forces in Zone Mortalis games. That'd be really cool and thematic. And fluffy. The Covenants of the Ordo Reductor operate as autonomous and self-sufficient warbands containing a mixture of Magos and tech priest servants whose specialties range from tactical assault to macro firepower to mimetic and forensic battlefield analysis to munitions production. The Ordo Reductor also possesses weapons forbidden since the Dark Age of technology and dangerous arcana. They are also permitted to innovate new weapons and war machines in order to overcome the countless enemies encountered during the Great Crusade. The development of the powerful eradication cannon mounted on the Hellion Minoris war machines of the Centurial Ordinators during the Rundown campaigns is one example. I have no idea what the an eradication cannon or what is this Hellion Minoris war machine is, but so if anyone knows what they are, please let me know. I think it's just a random example to show off their power or abilities in the Black Books. The most widespread Ordo Reductor's creation is the Taghmata, heavily augmented cybernetic shock troops meant to replace the Skitarii legions on Mars, who answer only to the Fabricator General and thus are not accessible as infantry support. Extremely potent and durable, the Talax are often gifted or traded to other Mechanicum factions, such as the Taghmata of Forge Worlds and the Myrmidon subcult, in return for supply and allegiance. The Ordo Reductor displays a long history of successful and tactical strategic integration with the forces of the Great Crusade, alongside which it served. For example, showing allegiance to various Space Marine legions and even incorporating their own heraldry and library into their own. So I guess this is where you can talk about, I say, the Iron Warriors, for example. You can probably bet that the Ordo Reductor has very close ties with the Iron Warriors, and probably the Imperial Fist, which you can see in the Scheme of Mars, where the Imperial Fist kind of went to Mars to steal their ammunition and armor and supplies. Well, I guess that's not a good example. Well, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. I think the Iron Hands love the Mechanicum too. So the Iron Hands and Mechanicum are sworn brothers. So you can probably bet that a fair few of Ordo Reductor forces are kind of loyal to the Iron Hands. And then you have the oh, that's interesting. Anyway, yeah, pretty cool picture there. So this is an example of an Ordo Reductor force, I believe. That's why you see all the Krios tank and the kind of the siege machines right behind the knights. The knights are pretty awesome. The next we have is the Centauro Ordinatus, which is the division of the Mechanicum slash Adeptus Mechanicus that oversees the construction, maintenance, and deployment of the massive Ordinatus engines, such like this. It is possible that they work in tandem with the Ordo Reductor or the Macrotechnia of a Forge World, the weapons mounted upon their machines possessing unrivaled apocalyptic firepower, surpassing even that wielded by the formidable Titan legions. And this is here is the Ordinatus Minoris not Sagittor, Ulator, I think Ulator. So it's a sonic weapon. The Sagittor uses a volcano cannon, actually, a Bellicosa volcano cannon, which is pretty cool. And I think I'm not sure because I can't really find much of them in either the black books or the codex because they are more they are 28mm scale. You probably don't want so many Ordinators, Lord of Wars running around the tabletop. Though we have quite a bit on Titan Legions, so it's kind of funny. Anyway, they appear quite a lot in the lore actually. I think they appear in the Beast Arises where one of the ships, I think the Nova Cannons, got stranded, got beached onto where was it? Ulanor. Yeah, Ulanor. They were trying to fight the beast, and then I think what the Adeptus Mechanicus did was take the Nova Cannon and plant it on one of the chassis. And a Nova Cannon. So it's like this awesome Ordinatus machine that was shooting Nova Cannon rounds at the Orcs during the Beast Arises. Another example would be, say, Hell's Reach by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, which is an awesome book and I recommend, by the way. So you have, I think one of the major plot points was them uncovering what we call the Armageddon Pattern Ordinatus machine, which was able to destroy, I think, the Godbreaker, which was a giant super mega gargant in one shot. Pretty awesome. So yeah, even you can't find much background, you can find a lot of them in the book somewhere. Then you have the other Mechanicum tactical divisions, which is the Autocrator. The Autocrator comprises of ground armor, pioneer forces, mobile artillery units, and tech guard regiments. Apparently, these are not Skitarii because I think the Black Books were trying to distinguish Skitarii from the Taghmata infantry that's serving the Taghmata Omnissiah. So don't ask me. I'm not sure why they decided to call tech guard something else, even though Skitarii is tech guard. Then you have the Macrotechnia, which is composed of Engineer Covenants, Textual Combat Units, Macro Machina, Ordinatus Locum, and Technographica Determinus. Technographica probably navigation and map things because Graphica I think is usually referred to maps. Then the Macrotech Order is often the most numerous of the classes of Magos who govern the Forge Worlds and are venerated Fane and Forge Masters. They are the tech rights of great macro furnaces that power endless cycles of production, and responsible for administrations of vast engines of industry and war. So these are like all the your engine seers basically, tech priest engine seers, or what was it? Auxilia, tech priest auxilia. We are talking about a Horus Heresy game, and they can choose the engine seer thing. Engine seer prominence was it? I think that's what it's called. Yeah. They often accompany their masters and mighty war machines they administer into the battlefield, enacting field repairs, assuaging fevered machine spirits, and performing the required micro-calibrations to arms and systems to ensure the holy engines of battle perform to their optimal efficiency. So yeah. And then the next one you have is the Monitora Logis, who is the producer and the provider of munitions and war gear. Servitor and drone cohorts assigned to Taghmata service, signals, and the next Mechanicus Auditory. Basically, they're logistics, yeah. The quartermaster, the logistics arm of the Mechanicum. They also compile data and are in charge of battlefield analysis. So that's what the Lex Mechanicus do. And then with the Lycra Mara. The Lycra Mara provides indentured labor units such as Ad Secularis modified troops and others. You have Tech Trolls as well, Bioalchem Cadiers, Tech Priest Lycramata Covenants, and Cyber Hybrid Carnivora. The Tech Priests Lycramata are masters of the Trolls and servitors that work the forges and march the war, and their arts are those of fleshcraft and alchemistry. They employ Tech Trolls as expendable troops, augmenting them with inhuman levels of resilience and function in the short term at the expense of ruining their subjects' bodies. I also believe that they are also the ones who produce the cyber cannons for the Cerberus core of the Skitarii legions, So if you remember modern 41st millennium, the Skitarii legions, they have something called the Cerberus Corps, where either Skitarii Rangers or Vanguard are riding on these cyber cannons. And given that the Lycaramara actually create their cyber hybrid carnivora, and you have cyber cannons, I think you can put two and two together, and guess that they are the ones who produce the cyber cannons for the Cerberus core. And nice to see these kind of nice continuities here and references to old lore, and you know from the black books, how Games Workshop have all these black books and in background fluff all linked together. It's pretty awesome. The Myrmidons are the lords of the Myrmidon subcult, servants of firepower and master weapons slaves. Their sole concentration is the art of destruction and the embodiment of that power within their own vastly augmented bodies, in which little organic remains. To the Myrmidons, war is a matter of cold logic and murderous equation. So instead of swearing fealty to any single master, the Myrmidons are drawn to battle, seeking fresh challenges to defeat. Their invaluable arts and expertise form a cornerstone of many newly formed and expanded Taghmata. These are the Securitors, by the way. And then you have the Myrmidon Destructors. Someone correct me. Several craft their augmatics to carry the heaviest of weapons, often only rendered portable owing to their reinforced endoskeletons and implanted power systems. These augmentations enable them to maintain a furious barrage with unequaled precision and skill. They specialize particularly in the destruction of enemy armored and fortified emplacements, and wield all manner of esoteric and arcane weapons that circumvent conventional defenses. So yeah, that's pretty much the various Taghmata arms. Next, we're going to talk about the Basilicon Astra, and unfortunately, I'm not sure I have enough information on this. Maybe there's more information on the Basilicon Astra in, I guess, Battlefleet Gothic supplements. I don't have any Battlefleet Gothic supplements on me. I apologize for that. So yeah, what I can tell is that the Basilicon Astra, Bal- Basilicon Astra, Pseudo Gothic or Pseudo Latin. Yeah, they are the division of the machine god servants tasked with the construction, use, and operation of voidcraft and interstellar vessels. They control the outer reaches of a forge world system and so stand apart from the planetary synods, but are still tied to them by dependence and ancient tradition. So yeah, that's basically what I have on the Basilicon Astra. They are basically the Navy Mechanicum Navy. Now the next one, I'm going to change back to my Knight Scion avatar because I'm going to talk about the Knight Houses of the Custodes Familiar. Again, I already done an entire video on Mechanicum of Knight Houses, so if you want more details, you can go to that video. It's in my channel. Suffice to say though, the ruling noble houses of the Knight Worlds form their own unique culture and traditions. They forge close bonds with the Mechanicum for mutual defense, resupply, repairs, maintenance, and production of new armors. There are varying degrees of independence, but while many Knight houses broker alliances or pledge vassalage to the Taghmata and other Mechanicum forces, many more formed the Ordo Custodes and joined expeditionary fleets during the Great Crusade in search of honor, glory, and wealth. The Horus Heresy will see the same schemes in the loyalties of the Knight houses as the one that has driven the Legiones Skitarii, Mechanicum, and Exeter's Imperialists alike, with many nobly upholding their oaths to the Emperor while others swearing fealty to the War Master instead, because they wanted to fulfill their dark ambitions. And yep, that's basically all I have for the militant arms of the Mechanicum. Maybe next week I'll do something on the history of the Adeptus Titanicus. We'll see. And yeah, I'll try to keep all these updates and videos up every week or something like that. If you guys enjoy them, if you don't, then I apologize for making you listen to them. So until next time,